Okay, so lesson 81 in Saxon's Algebra 1/2, second edition. This is on percents greater than 100. And what we're going to do is we're going to work a few problems and we're going to look at some rules. Okay, so let's do number 1. What number, I'm going to say what number is means equals 140%. We're going to write that as 140 over 100. Of means times 80. So the first thing I want to do is probably, let's see, I'm going to divide 80 by 20 and make that a 4, and 100 by 20 would be a 5. And then I'm going to say 140 times 4 is 560 divided by 5 is 112. So 112 is 140% of 80. Now 100% of 80 is 80. 200% of 80 is 160. 150% of 80 would be like 80 times 1.5, which would be 120. So 112 as 140% of 80 is a logical answer. Okay, so that's how you're going to approach this. Okay, now this may seem a little confusing because we've been working with these diagrams, and you know that typically the before diagram is the number that is 100%, the whole. In the second diagram, the after diagram has been divided into two parts. You have two different percents and two different numbers. But this says, for which of these problems will that after diagram be a two-part diagram, and for which will it be a one-part diagram? Alright, so basically I've just written down here the rules and the way you can determine. A is going to be a two-part diagram like we've been using because the percent there is less than 100, 40%. So we would have to find a 60% also, and we have the before number, which is 160. In D, the after diagram is going to be one part because you have a percent that's greater than 100. B, C, and E, though, are kind of different. We don't know what the percents are. They're not stated. So we have to take that a little bit further. We look at B and say that's going to be a two-part. What percent of 140 is 60? Because the after number, which is this 60, is less than the of number, which is 140. So that's going to have to be a two-part. C is going to be a one-part, though, because that after number, 140, is greater than the of number, 60. And then E is also going to be a one-part diagram because the after number, 280, is greater than the of number, 160. So C and E both are one part because the after number is greater than the of number. So that's how you're going to be able, you can refer back to this page because you're going to have a practice problem that's going to ask you to do this. And this is how you can reason it out. Okay, let's go ahead and work another example, and then we'll work our diagram along with it. Okay, it says what percent, so that'd be P over 100, of 40 is 160. Alright, so we know that our before diagram that's going to be the 100%, is our of 40. And the after diagram is going to be a 1 part, because it's going to say, let's see, 160 is the number, and then we have to find out the percent, but the percent is actually going to end up being greater. So let's do the math here. Let me do it in a different color so it shows up. So we're going to divide by 40 on both sides, and we get rid of that. P over 100 equals 160 divided by 40 is 4, and then we have to multiply by 100, and we see that P, the percent, is 400. So 160 is 400%. So it's bigger than 100%, so we do not divide the diagram into 2. Okay, practice problem A. Which of these problems will have a 1-part diagram on the right? Okay, so going back to our rules, the first one that's really easy is 2, because we know here that we've got a percent that is greater than 100%, so 150%, so 2 is the first one. Here we have an is number that is greater than the of number. So this is also going to have a 1-part diagram, even though we don't know what the percent is. In 5, we have the same thing. The is number is larger than the of number, so 5 is also going to be a 1-part diagram. So the answer to that would be number 2, number 3, and number 5. All right, let's work this out. What percent, and put that over 100, of 20 is 80? Well, we're going to divide by 20 on both sides, and we get rid of that. What percent equals, and 80 divided by 20 is 4, and just like in the other one that we did, the example, we have to multiply by 100, and so we get percent is 400. So here we would have a diagram that the second part of the diagram would be a 1-part, because this percentage is larger than 100. Alright, 140%. So we already know that this would have a 1-part diagram for the after diagram, because the percent is greater than 100, of what number is 364. So how do we get n by itself? Well, we're going to have to get rid of 140 over 100. So we'll flip that. Doesn't show up very well, does it? Times 100 divided by 140. And we get all of this to cross cancel out. N is equal to, let's see, let's do away with that. And 10 over 14 could be reduced. If we did it by 2, it would be 5 over 7. So let's do 5 over 7. I hope you followed me there. So we're going to say 364 times 5 is 1,820, and divided by 7, that would be 2, 14, 42, that would be 6, and 0. So the number we're looking for would be 260, would be 140% of 260 is 364. Alright, good job today. I'll see you next time for lesson 82.